West Ham United 2, Manchester United 1, and Manchester United lose again. We lost again. Where'd you start? Where'd you even begin? I mean, look, this is we're going to get into territory, I think, here of about whether or not this was, this was on the players, this was on Ten Hag, this was on VAR, this was on this was on that. Look, ultimately, everything today is just a disgrace, isn't it? Really, that's it. Everything is just a disgrace. Take your pick. take your pick, and I'll say yes, they're a disgrace. Players, obviously, the players missing chance after chance after chance after chance after chance. It's a disgrace. And you could say to an extent, all right, that's not on Ten Hag today. I'd say, yeah, all right, fair enough. But when you take a step back and then you look at the bigger picture and you go, you're 14th, that just isn't just on the players. That's on the coach. That's on everyone. You look at the penalty decision today. How many times have I come on here and said, VAR's rubbish, VAR's terrible, the standards are awful, PGMLO will probably do an apology and what have you. It's a disgrace. It's rubbish. But you have to look at what are the constant repeating patterns all over and over and over and over and over again. The penalty decision's a disgrace, but we put ourselves in this position over and over and over again for last-minute drama. Whether it's a late penalty like today, whether it's a late equalizer, whether it's a late goal for us to lose the game, we put ourselves in that position over and over again. Whether that's players missing chances, whether that's bad tactics from the manager or bad substitutions, we are 14th. We can't score goals. Again, you can blame the players, fine. We can't score goals, though. We capitulate on a regular basis like we did today. We are easy to change against because we give teams opposition to change against us. Today wasn't the first instance of us battering a team for 45 minutes, then the manager making 3 substitutions and changing the game at halftime. That only happened a few weeks ago against Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park, where we should have been winning that game as well. We lose more games than we win, and whatever we're trying to do, it doesn't work. It's not working. So, yeah, okay, cool. You can say today, yeah, this one isn't on Ten Hag. Fine. I didn't blame him that much when it came to the Palace one. But if stuff keeps happening over and over and over again, and KG's so right when he says it on the match view, when he goes, spare me, because I know what people will say. They go, well, we played really well for 45 minutes against West Ham. Who the fuck cares? We lost. We keep losing. Whether we play good for 40 minutes, whether we play good for 45 minutes, whether we play good for 60 minutes, we keep losing. And you can't keep losing. Whether it's on the players, whether it's on VAR, whether it's on the manager, we keep losing. And if you're an opposition team, a really bad one like West Ham, all you have to do, stay in the game, because United will huff and they'll puff, but they won't blow you down, and you can make changes at halftime. And if you change something at halftime, we've got nothing. We've got nothing as a response to it. So, yeah, it's not even necessarily about today about, it's the manager, it's the players. It's all rotten. Like, it's just completely rotten. And again, don't think of it as just today. Don't think of it as just today, of just, it was just VAR today, or it was just the players today. Because when you take a step back, it's happening over and over and over and over again. And when it's happening over and over and over and over again, then you have to go, well, wait a minute. Surely if this is happening a one-off, people in charge would fix this, but they can't. They can't fix this. It's beyond fixing when it comes to the coaching stuff. It is. And some of those players, they ain't good enough. VAR, it is shit. But guess what? We keep losing. That's all we keep doing. We keep losing. And guess what? The table is also starting to reflect what, again, it doesn't lie. When you're losing these games, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? It's just, again, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. And again, VAR. I mean, how often? I remember when the thing came up at the end of last season, wasn't it, about VAR, and I said scrap it or just keep it for just things that you can actually prove pretty quickly, i.e., offsides. It's not good. We know that, but then also, if you know that, don't put yourself in the position. Take your chances. If you can't take your chances, again, be proactive, make changes. You know. It would literally it reminded me of Crystal Palace over and over again. Of just go, it's a good 45 minutes. We are Man United. That's not good enough to be 45 minutes against a really poor West Ham side. But this is the full-time view where members can call in and have their say. If you do wish to become a member, you can do so. Links in the video description. It's also pinned in the chat. If you are a member and you want to call in, you can go over to the United View YouTube page, go over to the community tab, and you'll see the link there. I'm sure a lot of people will want to have their say today. A couple of super chats before we get to our first few calls. Dominic says, we deserve to be one up. We deserve to be up, but one thing is for sure. Each manager figures Eric out after 45 minutes, and we have no answer for that each and every time. Eric out. McCypher says, Ten Hag brought Hoyland for 70 million, fully countable. And Taco says, shout out to Wan-Bissaka for a good game. Pressure on Eric Ten Hag will be sky high again. Deja vu. And look, again, I look at this as, purely bigger picture, in the vacuum of one game today. Yeah, okay, right. If we're back into, aren't we? We're back into hypothetical Man United. If only we scored. If only the referee didn't make that decision. If only we'd have done that. And by the way, too, remember, this was the period of games we were meant to be winning. Remember that? Don't worry, Owen. Don't be negative. Because in the next batch of games, we'll win those ones, and then you'll see. But in this next batch of games, once again, we have won or drawn. We've won one, drawn one, lost one. Right? We are winning less often. We are dropping more points. We are dropping points more often than we are gaining them. 3 points certainly. That ain't good. That ain't good enough. Like, it's mad. Just so mad. And again, spare me when people were going to say, wow, we're still X amount of points off the top four. Wow, we're fucking 14th, guys. Like, eventually, when do we start looking over our shoulder backwards instead of looking upwards? Because if we keep looking up, we won't actually notice that we're near the foot of the table. It's it's so bad. Let's go to our calls. Let's start off with Show. Does anything surprise you anymore about what you saw today, or is this a new low?
I don't know if it's a new low. It's a continued low, I'd say. Look, let's look at the game today in isolation. I thought today, first 45 should have been 3-up. Again, you put it in the comments, exactly like the Palace game. A lot of chances, horrible misses, cool. But a game is 90 minutes. And for some reason, we're one of the few sides where it's like, we played well for 45 minutes. We didn't score. The second half, we just can't do it then. We have to let the other team be better than us in the second half if we don't score in the first. It's a very common pattern. We come out in the second half. West Ham are better. They made the changes. Their changes affected the game. Somerville came on and scored. And once again, it was the same thing as usual. Look, with the penalty, disgraceful decision. You know what I mean? Michael Oliver again, VAR ref, always gives penalties against us. What a shock. But we know nothing's going to change in that aspect, so what's the point complaining about it? I mean, Flex saying this guy should be sacked. That fair enough, but nothing's going to happen. These referees are a joke. And the thing is, just to keep it short of the referees, if we really want change when it comes to refereeing in the Premier League, what really needs to happen is all the teams need to come together and pose a serious threat to the referees to force Howard Webb to change something.
Like, we saw it last season, didn't we? Remember when Wolves basically did that? That's why when they
but even the Forest chairman, when he came, that's the right way to do it. And people might say it's harsh and it's over the top, but that's the right way to do it. Because if more people did that, then the PGMOL will take it seriously. But when you have decisions like today, and then people are going to be nice about it and just say, referee made a mistake. Dermot Gallagher watch happens. Unlucky. It was another mistake. Well, let's just move on. Nothing's going to change. So if teams, Because it's not. Let's not. I don't want to do this thing where we're not victims of this. By the way, I don't want to do this thing where we're the only team that gets decisions given against us because
consistently bad. It's consistently
bad.
bad.
It's shit for everyone. It's bad for everyone. So if people want change, you need to all come together. Otherwise, PGMOL come, carry on as this kind of mafia kind of organization where they're untouchable. It's a joke. But the bigger picture is 7 wins in our last 23 league games, Owen.
Mm-hmm.
That's the big picture. So small picture, yeah, we lost, but if Ten Hag isn't, I don't think Ten Hag's going to get sacked after this match anyway. But if he was going to get sacked, a lot of people are going to come out and say, "Oh, imagine if we did this." He's not going to get sacked because he lost today. He's going to get sacked because of that. 7 wins in 23, mid-table league form since the Carabao Cup final. So we've been bad for a long time, and it's the same old story. I mean, we can't score goals, we concede bad goals, we can't play well for 90 minutes. It's just and then it's like capitulate. And the thing with this is like I've seen people say we've got young strikers. Højlund's a young striker, he's inconsistent. Fair enough, I agree with that. But this thing of what I don't get is it's a well-known fact before INEOS arrived that Ten Hag had a strong influence on transfers. That's not me, that's a fact. The articles will tell you that, the well-known journalists will tell you that. It was one of his requirements for joining Man United. He wanted a big say in transfer activity. He signed Rasmus Højlund. Now, he didn't command the fee, but he signed Rasmus Højlund. So let's not get it twisted. If the shoe was on the other foot and Højlund was bagging goals, Owen, you and I both know a lot of this fan base would say, Ten Hag genius. He signed Højlund. He's great. Because when Martinez was really good in the first season, people were saying, what? Oh, look, Ten Hag brought him with him. What a signing that was. So let's not get it twisted now. And so now that Højlund's not doing the business for us because he's a young, inconsistent striker, that there's no accountability on Ten Hag for that. He spent a lot of money. This is his squad. They've not been performing for 18 months. And if he's going to lose his job, that's going to be the reason why.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, it's one of those ones. It's a bit like last week, actually, when we actually won against Brentford, where you sort of go, all right, small picture, like focus on why you won, and today why we lost. And you would say if you were gonna sort of table the reasons, you could maybe go players missing chances, referee, and then maybe Ten Hag like that. But then when you do take a step back and then you go, but we're 14th and this happens all the time, then eventually someone has to be held accountable for that, don't they? You know what I mean?
Yep. 100%.
And that's where we are at the moment, isn't it? It feels like there is no accountability. And do you have a concern maybe then come out today that because obviously largely, not totally, but largely people will focus on necessarily not the manager because the players and the ref. Do you reckon that, I don't know, that kind of scrutiny will steer away from Erik ten Hag, or is he just in the firing line at the moment?
I don't know if it's a concern anymore because look, the thing with Ten Hag is his sacking is not a matter of if, it's when. I'm just waiting for it. But me personally, even if I think INEOS, they've put themselves in a tough spot because they gave Ten Hag this season in the summer, right? Now, if they were going to sack him and look for a short-term fix-it solution, Tuchel was that guy. Tuchel's not my preference, by the way, but if they were going to do that, the last international break was the time. Now, if you sack him, now what? So look, I'm all for. Look, listen, I'll keep it 100.
Do you buy those reports of actually they are talking to several people at the moment and actually doing a bit of
who are the several? What several?
Well, allegedly, Xavi, Edin Terzic, and Thomas Frank. And to be fair, I think probably 2 of them would be Ralf Rangnick style interim options, I would think, until the end of the season.
If that's the case, if it's an interim option, I could maybe, but even then it's like a scuffed kind. It's like I mean, look, maybe some people say, look, it's better than nothing at this point. But yeah, I mean, look, it might get too toxic to a point where you have to sack Ten Hag and get one of these. But are these guys, someone like Xavi or Terzic, going to accept an interim option until I can't see that. It seems like a weird thing. Neither of those managers have been that type of manager. They're not like a hitting type manager who come in and they're young guys. You know what I mean? So look, I don't know. I do get from INEOS's point of view, but at the same point, I don't know how long you can let this go on for because, like I said, 7 wins in 23 league games, 1 win 11 Europe. We're 14th in the league, coming into November. This is not, this is not October. It's not September. It's not October anymore. So,
We
look,
got Chelsea next.
exactly. And more injuries today. I think Mazraoui looked like he's not going to make it next week. Kobe's not going to be back. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Big up, show. Appreciate you calling in as always. Long time member. Ken says, "If only," sounds like Marcel. Marcel, yeah, he was moving mad on the match sheet. Like, just because you have an answer for everything doesn't necessarily mean you should always say it, because there's an answer to every question. Whether or not it's right or wrong, that's probably up for debate. And like I said, we are if only FC. If only this happened. If only we won this game. If only the referee didn't do this. If only we scored that goal. But the problem is, whenever we say if only, it's because it didn't happen. And more often, those things don't happen. If only we won. If only we scored. If only the referee hadn't done that. Well, guess what? They all happened. And we always do it. We always do it. If only. If only. We are if only FC. If only we got in the top four. If only that's what it was. Unbelievable. Let's go to another call. Let's keep it rolling. Let's go to Amanor. Amanor, what do you make of everything you've seen today?
Well, I can't really comment because I didn't watch most of the match today. I was trying to watch it on a stream, but failed. Yeah, network connectivity. So, but I've listened to. I know you're not going to get the most greatest insight analysis from me from watching.
Well, okay, let's change the question. Then. How do you feel about where Manchester United are at the moment? Is anything salvageable, or, like Show said, are we just drifting towards the inevitable at this point?
I think listening to what Flex and KG was. So I was listening to the channel before. It sounds like the repeat of the Crystal Palace game in terms of the first time we played well, etc. But going to your question, Owen, I think whether it's salvageable or not, it depends on INEOS's view of what they view the season to be a success. What is their standard for this season? Are they willing to accept that we won't be finishing top four? This will be a season whereby it allows them to fully understand what this manager is, and also locate the manager they want that will be available for them next season. Because in my mind, I think what INEOS is saying to me, unless you tell me otherwise, I think they've written off the season. Otherwise, they would have scrambled very hard to find a replacement manager now, and would have appointed a manager by now and sacked Ten Hag. Yeah, this is more on INEOS now. People are not talking about this enough in terms of what is INEOS' plan. I know you said allegedly that they are speaking to 1 or 2 managers, or 3 or 4 managers, but then you've had the break, to do that. Are you going to wait till the November break now to take action? So my question to that is to you, Owen, is what's their expectation for the season? What is successful INEOS this season? Because I thought it was finishing top 4, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know that. My theory, sort of, that has been evolving over the last few weeks, is that obviously, look, they extended, or they used the option to extend Erik ten Hag's contract in the summer. So clearly, they did not anticipate what we're seeing right now. And I think that start to the season that we have seen, the worst start ever, I think caught them off guard a bit. And I think they may have sort of scrambled together, had that meeting and gone, have we got anyone lined up? Can we do anything now? And the answer was no. And my feeling is now that you're hearing these reports of talking to Xavi, talking to Eden Terzic, talking to Thomas Frank, talking to people we probably don't even know yet, I wouldn't be shocked if they, like us, see us going in a similar direction and just go, right, what we've got to do is do some succession planning. What we've got to do is line up that replacement of who it may be, and then act. So maybe come the next international break, maybe that is when they'll make the move, but they want to be better prepared. And they didn't just want to give it to Ruud van Nistelrooy straight away. They wanted to have someone that can come in, because I will push back. I know that people go, oh, just new manager bounce, blah, blah, blah. But we've seen several managers at big clubs come in and make a difference quickly and implement their style very quickly. You look at Barcelona in the week, Hansi Flick. And by the way, he's got injuries too. His goalkeeper's missing. I think he played like 2 or 3 teenagers in that game. It's mad. So I don't know. Maybe that's what they're doing. Or, to your point, maybe they're figuring out what this season is going to be. And if that's the case, that's really concerning, is it not?
Yeah, and I know I heard Show. I'm not. I agree everything what Show said in terms of the game, in terms of the play, and the manager. But the other thing that people need to be aware of, it's very, very easy. I'm not making an excuse for Ten Hag, by the way. I still think we need to replace manager, but it's very, very easy to sort of neglect the players. in the first half, what I've been told, we had so many chances. It's not Eric Ten Hag who's playing on the pitch to finish off those chances. It's these players. So what accountability, what standards are the players setting themselves in that dressing room? And I appreciate that ultimately comes from the manager, but these players, some of these players need to be, as part of this review process for INEOS, if they are willing to do a hard reset, i.e., we are going to write off the season and we're going to find a future manager that's going to bring us that success, then they should be looking at in the same lens on some of these players and said, okay, will these players take us to where we want to be, which is challenging for the title, finishing top 4 consistently? I don't know. And so for me, Owen, it's a woolly answer, but I'm not surprised by this result. Actually,
but would the pushback to that, sorry, I mean, or be like, okay, they might not take us to Champions League, but then would the not natural pushback be to it though? But whoever's in charge of them has to be getting more out of them than 14th in the league, than consistently losing, particularly if it's players that he's vouched for in the first place to bring in, which as Show mentioned earlier on, is players that, you know, he was quite in control of when it came to recruitment last season.
Yeah, but then yes, you're right, and I would expect, Owen, like, say for example, I know I'm saying this facetiously, if Sam Allardyce came in, I reckon he would be doing better than 14th. You may laugh at that point, but I think it'll be about 12th, 10th, 9th. He won't be challenged for top, but he won't be 14th. I think one of the first things he would do is make sure we don't concede silly goals, and make sure we defend behind the ball and do long ball tactic. The other thing is what people are not talking about, Owen, is that Ten Hag was brought into transition football. I've heard people talking today that we were doing hoofball, we were doing long ball. So where's his philosophy? He's almost sort of dished his philosophy again. So is Ten Hag basically concussed, and he's literally now that he literally needs somebody to end his misery, and whether that's INEOS, I don't know. So it really is worrying that INEOS are not. I'm not convinced they've got a plan, Owen. And if they do have a plan, they're not doing a good job of executing that plan.
Interesting. Big up, Abanor. Appreciate you as always. Another super chat here from Brain says, I was Eric Ten Hag in, but now I feel it's over. This is our level under this manager, and I don't see it getting better. This squad is good enough to get top 4. Well, this is where I push back a little bit. Whether or not they're good enough to get top 4, who knows, right? But I will stand pretty firm in that they're better than, 14th in the league. They are. And that's why, if you listen to the pre-match, I mean, I said we thought we'd win 3-1. Probably could have with the goals, but that goes back to could have, would have, should have, could have FC. It's when the team news comes out, and usually there's the meltdown about who's playing and who's not playing. And eventually, like over the last few weeks, I've become quite numb, to be honest, to the team news coming out, because basically I came to the conclusion of, it actually really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter which players play or what combination of players play, because we're shit. You know what I mean? It's not like what about this midfield pair's got to do it, or this defensive lineup's got to be it, or it's this person on the wing, that person on the wing. And it's like, actually, no, it's like the system just is doomed to fail regardless of who's in it. And if after 600 million, we can't see any progress, or if it's like legitimately we're like, oh, we are just like one player away, it's just this, that's the problem, then I go, fair enough. But every week I watch and I get even more confused, and I go, how have we spent that money and we feel like we're further away, or we feel like we need more players? Like it just doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? I just don't get it. I don't understand. All right, let's go to another call. Let's go to Chalaboy Comics. You like to be positive, my friend. Can you be positive today?
Owen, I'm just logging on today because I just need someone to talk to, because I'm a broken man. This is
aren't we all?
Yeah, this is very sad, and I know it's easy to blame the manager, and he's, at the end of the day, he's headed the ship. But today, and sure, the manager should get responsibility. He's the guy, but today needs to be about looking at the players in the eyes and just ask, what the hell was that? Because the amount of chances that we had, it's getting beyond a joke now. Like even no matter how well or how badly you're coached at a professional level, you have to put that in the back of the net. There's just no excuses for that shoddy finish. And so I don't know what's happening in training. I don't know what's happening with the mentality of our squad. I honestly, I have no answers for you or for anyone. But all I know is just it's just not good enough. It's not acceptable, and the standard, needs to raise up significantly, because it's getting beyond a joke now. And the weird thing about football is that because it's a game played by human beings, it's a game played by people. Emotions and confidence play a huge role. And so when you look at the work being done in terms of how we're getting into a lot of, because the story of the game is what we've been seeing throughout every game, is the fact that we have our chances, we don't take them, then we get punished, right? But the work is being done in terms of us getting into those positions. So you're just hoping, because it's this sort of emotional game, a confidence game, that there's something that's going to drop for us, that's going to turn this tide around. Because with football, the margins are so small that all it takes is just one result or one chance or one moment in the season to turn everything around. And the fact that it's just hasn't happened for us, it's filling me with despair, to be honest. And I'm usually a very hopeful fan, but I'm just wondering, what did we do? Is it something that United fans did? Is it something that our previous players did? Like, are we paying the price for something mystical that we can't understand? Because it's just not making sense. It's Pogba's hyena still at Old Trafford? Like, what is going on? Because I don't have an answer for you or for anyone, because it's just shocking. So for me today, I need to be helped. I need to be helped. I need to be lifted, because usually I'm the one doing the lifting. But as Phil Neville says, who motivates the motivator? And I'm just so dejected right now.
I don't know. Maybe I can't speak for you, but maybe it's dejected because there is this feeling of inevitability, right, about where this is going. This is only going in one direction, which is not a good one for Erik ten Hag, as you mentioned, being the captain of the ship. Is that he said it himself in the press conference before the Fenerbahce game? If you don't get results, there's going to be pressure on. And obviously, today you can look at it and say he was unfortunate to an extent, in the sense of, certainly in the first half, he set up the team well. We didn't take our chances. At the end of the game, it's a ludicrous application of VAR, which I just don't understand.
It's ridiculous.
But ultimately, if it keeps happening over and over again, you're gonna be have to be held accountable. Because if you're not, I suppose, then the people that aren't holding you accountable, this is kind of what Amanor was saying about INEOS,
Right,
then they're gonna have to be held accountable, because ultimately you got to do something. Where do you think this does go from here? I mean, it's a strange one, actually, because I don't think anyone expects, any decisions to be made about the manager or whatever tonight, maybe even next week. Are we once again now just heading into a difficult period until the next international break, do you think?
Yeah, so the thing is, it really depends what the evaluation criteria is. Because if you look at it specifically from results, Erik ten Hag could have been gone a long time ago, right? Or for the same reason, the reason why he stayed is because of results, right? So if you look at it from that perspective, our away record and all that stuff, it's not good enough. However, if you're evaluating it from the process, the work being done, the improvements that we're seeing as a collective, there is reason to believe that something will turn, right? I don't think we're a hopeless side. I just think it's not working for us at the moment, right? And some of that has to do with Ten Hag's decisions. Like, for example, if Rashford is the one who is at the end of all the Garnacho runs, maybe we have more return, right? If you swap the roles a little bit, because as I've said probably to ad nauseum, Garnacho doesn't have the strength or the power to finish his runs and finish the chances, because he's always off balance. He's always gasping for air, because he just isn't strong enough at the moment. So maybe if you're Erik ten Hag, you swap that around and you put Rashford as the guy who finishes the chances. Maybe you tweak your system a little bit so that Rashford is the one, because he's our most reliable. Even though he does miss big chances, he's our most reliable. He's most likely to get a goal. Him and Højlund are probably the two most likely to get a goal. And then you also add in the Ahmad situation. So I've backed Ten Hag because I do believe he is a good coach. And I do believe that if we look at the stories of a lot of our games, at a certain point, we're always being let down by player quality. But Amad Diallo is one where I cannot wrap my head around that decision of why he's not playing. He's one of the better young talents in football. His close control is amazing, and the fact that we haven't found a way to put him or integrate him in the team, regardless of his performances, that's on Erik ten Hag. So to answer your question about where this is going, it really just depends on how sort of the player morale is after this game. Because what happens is, even if the results aren't going your way, if the players end up sort of, I don't want to say down in tools, but sort of given up, that's when you're going to get to a point where there's nothing else you can do, and you have to change the manager because that situation has gone, to such a terrible extent. But if we keep the belief, if the players hold accountability, if the players come out and actually, from the flip side, actually put themselves in the firing line so that the media attention is not necessarily on Ten Hag for this game, that's what's expected. We need a level of accountability from the players. I've bigged up Dalot for a long time, but I'm about to throw my stocks away, not because I don't think he's a good player, but because the performances or the decisions that he's been making over games has been unacceptable. Like, there's no other way to put it. Sure, he can have 95% of the game being great, but then 5% of it is just shocking. So he needs to look at himself in the mirror and ask yourself, what the hell are you doing? Bruno Fernandes needs to look at himself in the mirror, and sure, he didn't have a terrible game all around, but if you're in the final chance of a game, you have to depend on your ability to show a level of quality. That cross he put out to end the game is shocking. You're not supposed to do that. If we harken back to 99, imagine if Ole skies that over the bar. Like, you have to have levels of quality, throughout the whole game. So I think, where is this going to go? It truly depends on how the players pick themselves up and how much motivation they show in next training session. And who's our next game? Is it Leicester in the Carabao Cup?
Leicester in the Carabao Cup, and the thing is, this is when I go back to. Remember, I was saying all this week I was going about the Europa League or where I was going. The most important game is today's one, because again, it's like, okay, get a point and Fenerbahce, whatever. I still think we'll go through in the Europa League, but if you're losing in the league, and you start sliding down that table, it's is your bread and butter.
Go back up,
that is the bread and butter, and that this was my concern. It's just that the slide in the cup competitions, for instance, we could beat Leicester. I've probably expected us to. I think we're at home midweek. Cool, we've got Chelsea at the weekend. If we lose to Chelsea, then slide continues in the league, and that's. You can't overcome that. That's the problem.
No, 100%, and that's why I think the next game has to be a statement piece. I.e., that the goals we didn't score today, we have to punish Leicester. I don't want any of this. Oh, we're gonna play well for 60 minutes as a 1-0. No, we have to go out there with ferocity so that we can carry that momentum, against Chelsea. That's the only way we can recover from this, because for as much as we can say, because if we score 2 goals, and I don't want to use if, because that's, I'm actually not even going to use this example because I'm tired of saying if and when and what. It's just not happening for us, right? But the point is, we are putting ourselves in situations to win the game, and then we're costing ourselves by poor finishing. So do I think we have the ability to beat Chelsea? Yes. Do I think we have the ability to beat Leicester? Yes. But at a certain point, you just have to put numbers on the board. You just have to. And that is where we're lacking. So if we're asking ourselves what we do as fans, we just need to hold our players accountable and just tell them that this is not good enough. I'm sick and tired of all the posts, of all the social media stuff that people put out. Just put numbers on the board. So Ten Hag's going to go home today, and his job is going to be under pressure. And rightly so, because of the results. But I don't think he should be ashamed of himself for what he did, because any other team destroys West Ham. They're a terrible team, So I'm just so confused. I don't know what to think of it, but we just need to bounce back. We have to show some resolve, because if we keep sliding down, like you said, there's only one way it's going to end up, and that's going to be another manager we've let down. We've had Mourinho, we've had Van Gaal, we've had Ragnick, we've had Ole, we've had Ten Hag, and at the end of the day,
but have we let him down?
horribly.
Have we let him down? You know, as a manager, you know, where you are in the league, that does reflect, you know, the job that you're doing, isn't it? Is it not? You know, I get you could say things about obviously the tools at his disposal, his tools, but you know, I get that. But as a manager, your job is to get the best out of the people that you're managing, isn't it? And
That's true, but
and that's the problem.
Yeah, let me ask you, and that's 100% fair. Like, and the reason why I say let him down is because we've been in situations where we've had so many winnable games that we threw away. Sure, like if we look at the Champions League campaign last season, we were in winning positions for almost every game, and we only ended up winning one, right? So when I say we've let him down, it's because we shoot ourselves in the foot. But let me just ask you for today, what more could he have done? Like, obviously, I know there's always more you can do, because good is not good enough, as he always says. But when I say let down, this is a perfect example, because as a coach, you've done your job. You've done your job if you've created 4 clear-cut chances to put the game away, right? Maybe. So okay, so I don't know this because we're not there at the training sessions, but when we see sort of the clips from Pep Guardiola when he's coaching Man City, and there's a pass that's misplaced, and this guy loses his mind and is like, if you misplace that pass, you don't have a sort of place in our squad. Maybe the ruthlessness from Erik ten Hag isn't there. You know, I don't know that for a fact, but if that's the case, he has to become more ruthless and drop players, like put academy players in. I understand it's not an easy choice because you could end up losing those games, but there has to be some sort of a message that you send to these players that say, if you don't fix up, you have to get out of this team.
But then I would push back to that is, I would get that if it was his first season. This had happened a couple of times. This has been a recurring pattern: late goals, late decisions against us, capitulations, late equalizers, whatever. And I would say, if the fact that you're now saying, guys, you better shape up, I'll be going, what have you then been doing for 18 months? Because, you know, again, it's his job. And when you say what more could he do, or he's done his job today, frankly, the manager's job is to win. Sure. And if you don't win, you're not doing your job.
No, agreed, Owen. And I get that 100%. I guess I was just using that point to illustrate that you can everything can be done on a game plan. Everything can be done tactically. You can put your players in positions to score time and time again. But if they don't score, you know, like you're almost powerless. The people who win games are players, right? This is a player's game. So that's all I meant. And I understand that the general consensus has to fall in, because if you look at the wider range of data, you know, it doesn't look good. However, when we say it's his 3rd season, I understand it's his 3rd season. However, this is sort of like, I want to give him this is 2.5 seasons, because don't get me wrong, I don't want to look as if I'm making excuses, but we have a new backroom staff. He had to let go of his number one prior. We let go of McCarthy, Benny McCarthy, and Steve McLaren. We got a new backroom staff. We have a new INEOS arrangement, and we have largely a new squad. So in a way, this is like a refresh. So that's why I think INEOS has given him more time, because if this was continuing on from the same situation, I think Ten Hag would have been gone a long time ago. But everything has been revamped. The way we're playing in terms of the chances we're not conceding as anymore that we were last season. The way just basically everything is different, right? So I understand why there's a longer time horizon for this specific season, but he has to turn it around. And yeah, it starts with putting Ahmad on the team. It starts with getting the best out of Rashford again, and it's accountability. But again, I'm not looking for excuses, because we have to beat West Ham, and I'm just dejected. I just hope that the players can make this right next game and show that they actually want to be at Manchester United, because you can't be putting fans through this time and time again. It's just not good enough.
We shall see. Chala Boy Comics, we shall see. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Let's get some people what they're saying in the chat at the moment. Hey, K-Flow was saying excuses. K-Flow was saying excuses. A lot of people were saying excuses. Look, to me, there are no positive stats that can outweigh the negative at the moment. You know what I mean? That's where I'm at with it. And the thing, I said this after the Fenerbahce game, and I remember, people were saying, "Oh, you seem very defeated." And I remember saying after the Fenerbahce game, like, it's not for me. It's not for me now. It's not the bang on the desk, flip it over, scream, get him out, he's got to go, all this kind of stuff, because that was, for me, what, 3 or 4 weeks ago, maybe even longer at this point. Now it's just a case of, you know what's going to happen. You know what's going to come. And people can say it's negative. People can say glass half empty, whatever. That's people's perspective on it. But I just see the same stuff over and over again. And, I think that I'm really concerned against, but what's bad. We might say we beat Chelsea next weekend, and we might, but what we're doing right now, it will come again, because it's inevitable. We've seen this game where we miss chances in the first half and eventually don't win. We've already seen that once or twice this season. We've seen the late drama against us so many times over the last 2 seasons, to the point where it's not bad luck anymore, is it? When it gets to the point where it's like, I mentioned the analogy about being late. One day you're going into work and you show up and you're 15 minutes late, and you go, sorry, I was trying to get here and the bus, or there was traffic. I don't know what happened. You go, oh, mate, fair enough. It's unlucky, isn't it? But then if you're late every day for like 2 weeks, and every time you go in, you go, traffic has just been crazy. Eventually people will stop cutting you slack and go, maybe you should leave earlier. Maybe you should try and avoid the traffic. Or if you know it's going to take this long to get here, maybe you should give yourself more time. Why are you doing the same thing over and over again and expecting it to be any different than it is right now? Because it won't be. And if the hope is, well, I hope it will change, it ain't going to change. And then eventually that becomes on the person that's allowing that to happen. That's when it gets to the point where you go, well, I'm now allowing this. I'm now involved. I'm now culpable because I'm accepting of this. And that's where INEOS have to go, right, okay, well, then enough's enough. No more excuses now. Let's get to one more call. Let's go to Joe Blackman. Talk to me. What have you got for me, Joe?
Do you know what, bro? I'm going to add to that analogy. Hold on. First of all, do I sound like a robot?
No, you do not.
Yes. Okay. First of all, I have to check every time I go anywhere now. Okay. But just, I want to add to your analogy that you just dropped a minute ago. Yeah. So you can go, you should leave earlier. What if the person turns around and says, that's the first train of the morning? There are no other tools available to me apart from getting a cab, which is clearly expensive. Yeah, but what I mean is, that's the only tool available to them. The work is far away. You know what I mean? They have to catch a train. That's the first train available to them. Yeah.
Do you know what I would say? Do you know what I would say to that? I'd go, well, unfortunately, then we're going to have to find someone that maybe that's a bit closer, or we're going to have to find someone that can, that can make that journey that you can't, because the business, the results are more important.
What if you felt that person was actually the right person for the job?
But they're not, because they're always late.
No, just because someone's late doesn't mean they're not the right person for the job. When they come in, they do incredible work.
But they're always late, and actually, the results aren't good enough because they're
maybe
always
get
late.
them home set up. You can find ways to accommodate someone who's good. Do you understand what I mean?
And then I would say we have tried to accommodate you so much because we've changed everything around you, and we're still having the same problem. Maybe we need to find someone that can be here all the time, because especially if the results aren't there. It'd be one thing, yeah, if the results were there, and I go, well, we're doing all this stuff. It's a bit mad, but fair enough. But the results aren't there.
You know what? That's what I hear that. I hear that, because don't get me wrong. At one point in this game, I only started that analogy because I heard what you said, but I was just thinking, what if the tools are not there? Because at one point in the match, I was watching and I was thinking, who the hell is he going to put on? There's nobody left to get a goal. You took off Rashford, you put on Ahmad, Xerxes on, Højlund's on, Bruno's on. I bet he was missing McTominay today. Do you know that? I bet he was missing McTominay today. He was like, I wish McTominay was here. Yeah. That is his star boy coming off the bench, getting a goal. Yeah. And for me, I feel like there's not enough arrows in his quiver. That's what I feel at the moment. Yeah. And maybe it is some fault of his own. because watching this match today, I just felt it was very much 50-50 blame. Do you know what I mean? I can't believe some of the shots that we missed today, Owen.
Yeah.
Some of the chances that we missed today, it's like you can't say that. I know what I know what the manager INEOS will say. They will say, look at that. Look at all the chances he created. Look, it's on the players for not putting it in the back of the net. And then the Ten Hag outers would be like, well, he should have changed something. He should have some other way of dealing with what's going on the pitch. You know, maybe you should have changed somebody. Maybe you should have changed formation. Maybe you should have, you know, foreseen this. I don't know. But at some point, I did feel like I don't think he's got anything left. I don't even know if there was anything he could have done to change that match today. Some of these players are just getting it.
And I think, and to be fair, I think that is fair. You know, I kind of spoke about this earlier on, that I think if you were going to sort of level the blames, I think you would probably be lower down than, say, players and VAR. I think it's more of the sort of bigger picture, isn't it? You know, you take a step back from today and you look where we are in general, and the fact that this game, you could take the teams out of it, apart from Man United. You could put any other one, and we've had the version of this game so many times that you then go, all right, then are we just not sort of changing at this point? Are we just not kind of, you know, is this just what we're going to be like under this manager? That there might be some highs, some really good highs, but actually in the league, we're just going to keep losing. We're just going to keep losing over and over again. You know what I mean?
But that's the situation. I think we're all tired of this, isn't it? Yeah, being here, being hopeful that, you know, and I think that's where I changed my mind about being Ten Hag in. I can't be hopeful that it's going to change anymore. Every time I see us go 1-0 down, or even when we go 1-0 up, I know that if we don't at least score 2 to 3 goals, we probably ain't going to win this match. And for a Man United fan to be saying that we're probably not going to win this match, it's just crazy. Yeah, I'm done feeling this way, and I think that's where everybody's at. Yeah, nobody wants to trust. That's not
being negative either. You know what I mean? That's not. What's the right word? You know when people are like, oh, you're just being negative for negative's sake. You go, actually, that's just. I'm just telling you how I feel.
I'm just telling you. No, but at one point, Owen, you know, listen, I'm not a stat merchant. I'm not a very technical guy. I'm just going to tell you exactly how I feel. And that's how I feel. You can't. If you say I'm gaslighting you, that's your business. I feel this way. That's my opinion. And look, right now I feel like we could turn this around, maybe, but I don't know if Ten Hag's going to be able to do it with this set of players. There's something missing. There's something lacking. Whether it's belief, whether it's compassion, whether it's just a drive within certain players, I don't know. Whether it's the tool set at hand, but at the end of the day, this tool set was kind of assembled with him. Whether it's all him or not, it was assembled with him. So with the tools available, or the tools that you and the directors board decided that was right. I don't know if they're maybe this is why they've not got rid of him. Maybe he's sitting there going, I told you I needed Scott. I told you, you know, every meeting. Maybe that's what he's saying. Maybe that's why they've not got rid of him, because, you know, maybe they made some mistakes too. This is the thing. We've got to consider things from all sides, because I do not think that everything that's happened over the summer was all Ten Hag's decision. Yeah, that's for one.
Well, according to Amrabat, he wanted to keep him, didn't he? You know what I mean? So maybe he wanted Amrabat and McTominay to still be at the club. There you go. Perhaps.
I definitely think one person. Sorry.
But then even that kind of suggests, isn't it? Then things aren't all okay, and if things aren't all okay, then that's quite reflective on the pitch, isn't it? At the moment, that things are not good as maybe we thought they were.
100%. Owen, I don't know where we go from here, if I'm being honest with you. This match left me very confused. You know, if I'm going match by match, yes, there's the bigger picture, but if I'm going match by match, this one left me a little confused still, because I saw the manager set up a team that could do it. The chances were there. First half, we could have come away with 4 or 5 goals. We should have walked off the pitch smiling. Do you know what I mean? If we had walked away with 4 or 5 goals, they would have never been able to catch up. They would have been deflated themselves. You know, they would have been blowing. Okay, I would have said something rude, but anyway, they would not have been blowing bubbles. let's put it that way. Yeah. But anyway, the thing is, right now, I feel that we must either. I don't think they're going to fire him. That's the first thing I'm going to say. I don't think we're going to fire him. I think we're going to be with Ten Hag to the end of the season. So all I can hope for is for them to turn it around.
Oh, end of season vibes. Big up, Joe. Appreciate you calling as always. Go check him out on KG's channel, also his own one, Backhand Entertainment. I'm sure he'll put a link in the chat as well. And yeah, like, I don't expect to get a Ornstein siren or anything like that. We've got Chelsea next week, and to be honest, I think we're in a similar situation that we were this past week, by the way, which is play Leicester. I think you'll probably win, but that's not the important game next week. It'll be Chelsea again. Because let's say we go through, but we lose Chelsea, it's not good. I felt like for the last however many weeks that we were heading towards an inevitable destination, and we've just basically decided to just to drift there. We all know where we're going, and we could decide not to go there. Or just go, actually, you know what? Let's just fix this now. I used the pipe analogy before. There's a leaking pipe underneath that sink. Eventually, that's going to burst. Yeah, but let's wait for it to burst. Well, we can fix it now. Let's wait. Now, cost us some money. Let's just wait for it to burst. And you go, but it's going to burst. And then it bursts, house floods, and you go, oh, shit. And you go, oh, I should have fixed that pipe ages ago. And that's where we're going. We're going towards it. We're on the Titanic with that iceberg. We'll hit it eventually, right? It's coming. Yeah, it's mad. CH says no one knows how to fix it, Owen. Oh yeah, they know how to fix the pipe. I mean, change it. Just change that pipe. See if that's any better. If we put a new pipe in, it keeps leaking. It might be a bigger problem. But God, let's just not bother. And actually, by the way, with Erik ten Hag's own words after the Fenerbahce game, there was controversy at the end of this match, so let's just ignore it. Fuck it. It never happened. We didn't lose against Spurs. We didn't lose today because there's controversy. So it didn't happen. This just never happened. I don't know why we didn't play a game today. It was quite strange. It's like John Cena. You can't see him. I can't see that result today. No, it wasn't there. Didn't happen. Didn't happen. So I don't. Fake news. It was not a thing. Did not happen. So no problem. Yeah, I don't. Let's say 2-1 West Ham. I don't think we had a game today, did we? So yeah, fine. No problem. Anyway, I don't know why I did a show actually for 52 minutes because we didn't have a game. So that's weird. Yeah, everyone called in to talk about a game that didn't happen, which is pretty impressive. There was some good improv from everyone today. Nice. Appreciate it, guys. Big up to all the members. We'll be back with another full-time view for an actual real game in the week, and then for another real game next weekend. If we win, and there's no controversy, by the way. Actually, if we win and there's controversy, then again, by the new blind law, that means that game didn't happen either. So hopefully, no controversy, and it didn't happen. So that's what we're gonna go with. Okay, nice one. Anyway, guys, I'm out of here. I was like, we ended on a like note. There you go. I'm out of here.